So, about a month ago, I finally finished a graphic novel I've been working on since 2024. As it was my first, however, I made a lot of little slip ups that made my life and the entire process way more difficult than I thought it was going to be. And I thought it'd be interesting to share the things that I've learned while doing it. The first thing is to stay consistent. I would often take months at a time not working on it for many reasons, mostly to do with not feeling prepared. And then by the time I came back to it, I had improved with my art, and so wasn't pleased with the progress I had made. It meant that I kept falling back almost to the beginning again, and I would never get to where I wanted to be. I've always struggled with scheduling, and I guess imposter syndrome factors in as well, but I have been trying this year to plan out my art time a little bit more, and I hope that will help when it comes to the next project that I work on. Something I think would help the process along would be to create style frames. This was something I'd learnt at uni, as it's part of the animation process to develop a cohesive style of a story, but I haven't been using those muscles as much as I had been in previous years, so I think I sort of lost those pre-production fundamentals, and it really affected my work. A lot of the style was something I made up while drawing the actual comic, which meant I was doing all the pre-production experimentation too late and was delaying getting the comic done. Similarly, I wish I had finished my character sheets before starting on the panels and the line art. Then I would actually have something to reference. Why can't I say reference? Jesus Christ. What a nightmare. Then I would actually have something to reference. I also had a huge problem with wanting to change the script midway through the actual drafting of the comic, which was a massive problem. There were some places where I sort of got away with it, I think, but I still feel like it threw off the pacing of the story, making the characters' dialogue a little jarring, it felt a little mood swingy, where I didn't necessarily want it to feel like that. There are always going to be things that I want to change, and I think this is a natural part of the process. However, I do think I need to get a bit better at evaluating how big or necessary a change is, and if the story warrants it, and if I am going to change something that is going to throw off the pacing, I need to actually go through with it and go through those steps instead of just kind of trying to cut corners. I also think it's important to look up where you might publish the story. I'm at a crossroads now with a finished graphic novel and nowhere to put it, and a lot of different options that I could possibly do. I sort of know some online options, but I really want something physical, which I can't necessarily afford to do at the moment. And I'm not sure if those online platforms will work for my story. I know a lot of webtoons and stuff are long documents that you kind of scroll down, which is not how I've structured the story at all. It's more like a classic comic or graphic novel. it is something I'm going to look into, but I would have liked to have done it a little bit sooner, just so that I was somewhat prepared for when this would be finished. Lastly, I think it's important to understand that this is all just stuff I will be thinking about going into newer projects. Ultimately, you learn the most from actually doing the thing, and while this process was generally poorly planned, I can now say that I have a graphic novel ready for people to read if they want, and I have that idea of like how the process should look for me to feel the most confident in actually producing a comic or graphic novel. It's been a really turbulent process. I mean, most of me doing it was done in between writing essays, so I think I've done a good job. I definitely estimated having it done a little bit sooner than it has been. The process, I anticipated it being way faster, and it was not. So yeah, but now we're here. And I've got something. Don't know when it will come out.